Hey guys, we are back with another video, and my name is Trey, and today we're going to talk about April 30th. We're going to talk about the character traits of people born on April 30th, okay? And if you have not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also, hit the bell so you can get a notification on when it is that I'm dropping another video. Last but not least, if I have not done a video on your birth date and you would like to hear some confirmation or gain some awareness on some of the character traits for your birthday, drop it in the comments and I'll do it. All right, so the first character trait that about April 30th people, and one that I've very level of commitment to your duty, your level of commitment to ultimately what is your purpose. So you go through all these levels and layers of things that ultimately leads you to really feel and believe that you are walking in your purpose. For you, that connection happens a lot earlier than most. You begin to operate in your purpose. Let's say ultimately you'll be a social worker. You begin to feel that desire to help people genuinely, not in a codependent manner. Okay, stress that. From a very early age. So it can be in school where it manifests in where you're really just helping one person, and sometimes lead you to relationships that you don't need to be in. But ultimately, you realize that what you're doing on this large scale in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, you were doing it long ago on a different scale. Now, with that being said, with you being so committed to whatever it is your duty you consider to be your duty, and I'm using that word because, it's not until much later on that you recognize it as your purpose. So we can say your duty for now. Because of your commitment to doing your duty, it can sometimes cause you to negate some of your internal morals. Okay? And let's say somebody is over you, let's say a supervisor or your boss or something to that effect, and they may task you with something that you believe is against your internal morals. You're less likely in your junior or lower evolved stage, you're less likely to confront that person, and you're more so go ahead and do this thing that is against your morals. Now, all of this happens because it's where your strength lies, and it's kind of like a muscle that needs to be built, because when you really stand in that, okay, catch you years later, you can look back and say, you know what, I am never doing that again, or I learned from this experience in where I didn't follow my gut. I knew it was wrong and I still went ahead and did it. Okay, when that muscle is built, you become a force to reckon with. Not in a negative way, just that you have learned to really trust yourself and to walk in that purpose of what you truly believe to be right. Because the other thing with you is you really make for a great boss. Maybe I shouldn't say boss, because with bosses it's kind of like a one-way thing, but you really make for a great leader and a great supervisor, in the sense of you hold the people that work under you to the same standard that you hold yourself, and that's a great thing. Okay, an example is if you say, hey, we're meeting at 3 o'clock, you're the type of person that you expect the people to show up, your subordinates to show up at 3 o'clock, and also you will be there at 3 o'clock. Whereas some people will say, well, I'm the boss. Whenever I show up, that's when we get started. No, with you, if you say 3 o'clock, you'll be there at 3 o'clock. If you say we're getting to work at 8 o'clock, you will make sure you're there at 8 o'clock. So you have that. And the people that work for you, typically they like this about you. It shows that you're a people's person, you're a people's leader. The other thing is you're very protective of people who work for you, and very respectful to the people that you work alongside. And that's a quality that's admired in you. People continue to respect you because of how much you're willing to stand up for them. With that being said, you're also not a rule breaker. Okay, so when it comes to following by the book, how we operate, what we're gonna do, you're a stickler for that, unless if to break it would mean that it is to the benefit of all. So not really like that ultimately favoritism kind of thing, but really it makes sense to do. You're not breaking the rules for people who are just like horrible behavior, not doing what they're supposed to do kind of thing. If you're breaking the rule, it's because it makes sense and it's a benefit to the people ultimately. So I think I mentioned a little bit about your take charge personality. Now, this is a power that you have, and I consider it actually to be a gift. However, you oftentimes relinquish that or give up that power that you have. And this happens mostly in women than it do in men. This is something that has to be cultivated from a young age. So depending on how you were raised and your family situation, if your parents were encouraging of that gift of yours to be in charge, to take on those responsibilities, to direct, and all of those things. If they were nurturing and cultivating that in you, then this is a gift that you will learn very easily to balance. Because, like I said, you're not one of those people to really take advantage of others. So having that stand up, that responsible attitude and that take charge kind of thing in you, you're one of the people that it actually benefits other people to have around with that. But if it wasn't nurtured, women mostly tend to give this up very easily and take that, I don't want to say backseat, but take a more eased or relaxed position on topics and things, whereas they probably would make for a better leader than the person that they're allowing to lead or the person that they're following. Now, you do have a desire to be loved and respected. And, when people love and respect you, you are there for them 100%, 100. Whether they're your comrades or your subordinates or family and friends, once they love and respect you, you're there for them. You show up for them. Now, if they don't respect you, and again, it's not an ego thing, but your ego can definitely take the front seat where a lot of things are genuine with you. Your ego can definitely still take the front seat on them. Now, yeah, if they don't respect you or they're not a respectful person in general, you do express distaste towards them. Not outright like I'm in your face, I don't like you, but you may have some snide remarks, when talking to your confidants or something to that effect, and you have no problem expressing your distaste for that person. And again, it's not personal. It's not just because they don't like you. It might be because what they're doing is disrespectful in general or distasteful in general. Or they've wronged people around you. They're operating outside of the lines and they're being unfair. Ultimately, you're a stickler for fairness or what's right and standing up for people. So the people around you who operate outside of those lines, you have no problem expressing your distaste for them. When it comes to relationships, as much as you do love to be loved, to feel cared for, and all of that greatness, you also have this desire to have some sense of freedom. And for different people, that level of freedom may look very different. And for you, you go through and move through life kind of figuring out what that freedom means. So in the beginning, it may mean, typical whatever society deems to be freedom. But you slowly learn through learning yourself that it's not defined by societal means or even by the dictionary, but it's the kind of freedom that you ultimately have to define for yourself so that you can have that freedom within that relationship. Because as much as you, again, want that fondness and want that love and whatnot, you do have that desire to be free and that, like, okay, care for me, but again, leave me alone, let me have my space kind of thing. So if you're approaching or you have a disagreement with someone born on April 30th, it's not a good idea to go head first, okay? They can be very stubborn when approached in that manner, so don't do it. However, if you approach them with charmness and chivalry and grace and ease, they'll be way, way more receptive to that. And for some, you may be saying, well, that's most people. No, there are some signs that they want that head-on-ness. They want to know that you can go at it with them, and then that with doing that, they give you that respect. Not with April 30th people. It's not the way to go. It doesn't matter if they ultimately agree with you. They will still stand their ground and be stubborn against if you are in that argumentative manner. So approach them with chivalry, approach them with charm, and even if it's a little argument, it will still, you're more likely to persuade them in that manner. Okay, kids know this more than anyone. Kids can manipulate the April 30th because they fall for cuteness. They can't stand for 5 minutes in a room with a kid that they just fall. kids will get whatever they want from you. And they learn this very easy. They learn how to manipulate you. And for whatever reason, opposite sex kids, it tend to, how they say little girls melts their daddy's hearts, and little boys are mama's boys. It just happens the same way with people born on April 30th, that it tends to really can get what they want out of you. And kids learn this from a very early age. Now, one other thing about people born on April 30th is your ability to psychologically intimidate people, and also your power in silence. Okay, usually very aware of this. Some people are not aware of the power they have in their psychological endeavors, or their silence, the power in their silence. But for you, you're very aware of this. This is also intentional. Okay, some people may attack with their hands and whatnot. You're more of a psychological attacker. I don't want to say attacker, but if you come for me, I'm going to come for you in a psychological manner. I'm going to come for you with the power of my silence. And because you cultivate that energy so well, people really can't beat it. Sometimes they do, and you come back stronger. But for the most part, you have some power in that psychological and silence of yours. We've touched on the last thing I want to mention, actually, is how nurturing you can be. So you nurture your relationships once you're in a relationship that is supporting you. And for the most part, with you, it's not so much about being in the right relationship. It's more about you being in the right place within yourself. That's what the key is. And once that occurs, it can feel like this is the right relationship. This is a great relationship. But really, it just came back to you doing the work for you. Once you did the work on yourself, once you learn how to trust that internal thing that's been poking at you when it pokes at you often, and you learn to listen to it when it pokes at you, because earlier in your earlier years, you really didn't listen to it at all. But once you learn how to listen to that internal poker and you do the work on yourself, it's very easy for you to be in that relationship that feels like this is the one. All right, so that's all I have for April 30th, people. Again, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, like, share, comment, and don't forget, you want to hear about your birthday, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Peace.